Zohran Mamdani is going to make New York City more dangerous, more difficult to live in. But to explain why, let me start with this story. Recently, an off-duty Border Patrol agent was shot in the face in New York City. The suspect is Miguel Francisco Mora Nunez. He entered the country illegally in 2023 from the DR. He had 2 prior arrests for domestic violence, and he was wanted in New York for robbery and felony assault, and in Massachusetts for stolen weapons. This is what we would call a repeat offender, a risk to society. Nunez and his partner in crime, another illegal alien caught and released under Biden's regime, ambushed the agent and tried to rob him.
We have 1 subject outstanding, right? Hey, Farm, I believe the man in the red t-shirt. I believe I just heard that they recovered the injured party, the man in the white.
He's in the hospital as we speak, recovering from gunshot wounds to the face and arm. Police said that Mora was supposed to be deported, but had run free despite many arrests in New York City, which is a sanctuary city. You might be wondering, how does Zohran Mamdani fit into all of this? Well, his platform encourages this. He's saying, hey, violent gang robbers, come right in. We won't check your rap sheet. Plus, right now, he's leading in the polls, proudly proclaiming he's going to make New York City even more of a sanctuary city for illegal alien criminals who have no business being here. So right off the bat, we got to talk about how Mamdani wants to, quote, Trump-proof New York City. In other words, he doesn't want City Hall to cooperate with ICE at all. His website makes it crystal clear that under his regime, there will be no working with ICE. There's going to be legal support for illegal aliens, no doubt, on taxpayer dime, and he's going to make it harder for authorities to keep tabs on foreign nationals. You can imagine this might have some implications for counterterrorism too, just a hunch. Now, less violent perhaps, but dangerous in a different way, we have city-owned grocery stores that Mamdani is proposing straight out of the Marxist playbook. And I know you've probably been hearing, commie this, commie that, he's a commie. I know it's not that illustrative of an insult, considering that 1, Democrats wear socialist as a badge of honor now, and also 2, schools don't even teach the consequences of communism historically in all of these countries where it led to many, many deaths and dismay and destruction. So let's zero in on one of Mamdani's financial ideas and break it down. He wants a network of 5 city-owned grocery stores, and you might be thinking, how is this controversial? Affordable groceries sound swell. Here's the problem. New York City is filled with mom-and-pop shops, small grocery stores, and franchises. To the West Village girlies out there who say that they care about the marginalized of society, this policy is going to crush small businesses, average New Yorkers who are trying to make a living here. And a lot of these business owners are legal immigrants. My favorite deli down the block from where I live is owned by Greek guys. They make the best espresso. I love them. So if you really want to support the little guy, you're not going to force those businesses to compete with subsidized stores. And it's not fair that these stores that Mamdani wants are going to have their rent and property taxes paid for by the government, and the mom and pops won't. The fact is, guys, we can't girl math Mamdani's ideas. We have to pay attention to the economics and make sure it all adds up, because the cause of high grocery store prices is not, in fact, greedy food corporations. It's inflation, which Biden's reckless fiscal spending fueled dramatically. I mean, come on, the profit margins that grocery stores have are like 1.6%. That's not a lot of profit. So this isn't a story of money-thirsty capitalists. We can debunk that right there. Next up, we have Mamdani's idea to tax the rich, AOC's favorite. He wants to raise taxes by 2% on the wealthiest people in New York City, who, by the way, already pay the bulk of the taxes here. Individual income taxes specifically account for about 60% of revenue in New York State, and millionaires pay about 40% of them. He wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 11.5%, and he's going to tax those earning above $1 million annually, a flat 2% tax. We call this a millionaire tax. And by the way, the wealthiest people in New York City already pay the bulk of the taxes here. Individual income taxes account for about 60% of all the revenue that goes to New York State, and millionaires pay about 40% of that. Think about this for a second. In this era of remote work, why would a billionaire keep his company in Manhattan when he could just move operations to somewhere like Palm Beach where there is no income tax? You can figure this out on a napkin. 2% times $1 million, that's a $20,000 raise for some CEO. What is the incentive to live here and lose that $20,000 in Zohran Mamdani's grimy New York City? Clearly, Mamdani resents the wealthy, even though he himself is the son of two very successful people who achieved the American dream here. And if all goes south for Mamdani, Mom and Daddy got him covered. Watch this.
I worked until January, and then I took time away from my job. And one of the major reasons I could do so was because I knew that if I ran out of my savings, my family would be able to support me.
Yeah, I know plenty of kids in New York City are subsidized by their parents, but not all of us. This makes me really mad. And by the way, this makes it all the more funny that the low-income working-class Democrats voted for Andrew Cuomo and the middle to high-income Democrats voted for Mamdani. The workers of New York City are not really buying into this socialism thing. But in taxing the uber-rich, Mamdani is saying, we're going to run them out of town. We need to make it impossible for them to do business, even though their capital investment is really important for innovation and economic growth. And he said as much recently.
Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires because, frankly, it is so much money in a moment of such inequality.
That sounds a lot like liquidate all the billionaires. Again, little Soviet. And when all the rich people run for the hills, as they've already started to do apparently, who's going to pay for Mamdani socialism? Even Kathy Hochul, the governor, is worried that the tax base is going to flee for Florida, and who could blame them?
I'm not raising taxes on people at a time when affordability is the big issue. I'm actually cutting middle-class taxes.
Even on the wealthy.
I don't want to lose any more people to go to Palm Beach. We've lost enough. We had a major out-migration when Republicans in Congress eliminated the state and local tax deduction. New Yorkers paid $72 billion more to the federal government over the last 7 years because Republicans didn't stand up, and they need a full restoration of this. So that was a driver. I don't want to give anyone else who's supporting our economy, and their taxes are appreciated, and their support for the philanthropies, et cetera. Driving them to Florida does not help us. So let's be smart about this.
Moving on to perhaps the cringiest of them all, taxpayer-funded gender transitions. Need I remind Mamdani of this Trump ad?
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Gender ideology was toxic to voters at the ballot box in November, especially as it came at the expense of the bread and butter issues. Inflation, tax cuts, all the other economics. And if Democrats run with the Mamdani model nationally, and this is a guy who clearly has no interest in moderating at all, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out for them. Mamdani won Democrats in New York City, sure, but can he win Nebraska, New Hampshire, Georgia? This issue is totally dividing the Democrats right now. The public can smell that from a mile away. And forget the grossness of sex change surgeries for both children and, in my opinion, adults. The nation opposes taxpayer-funded gender surgeries. You gotta be united to win. Democratic leaders are obviously torn about Mamdani because the energy is there, the enthusiasm is there. He really galvanized a lot of young people. He might be their ticket out of the political woods. He also might be political suicide because he succeeded in a very blue city, and this could be existentially bad for the party because, as I said, does he have general appeal across the country? Not so sure. Last but not least, this is the one that should be a no-brainer bad policy, but we still have to debunk it, apparently. Rent control. Look, I get that it sounds nice. Year-over-year rent increases in New York City are egregious. It makes you feel like you have to move every year to find a better deal. As Carrie Bradshaw said, you're always looking for a new job, a new boyfriend, or a new apartment. It's not fun. But this is fool's gold. Rent control doesn't work. I wish it did. Because if you cap what a landlord can charge for rent, you're creating a situation where that landlord cannot run their business. You're telling that landlord that there's a limit to what they can generate in income. And as a result, that landlord might tell you, you gotta move out because renting to you is no longer profitable. So it's likely going to make our housing shortage, a huge issue nationwide for both parties, more of an issue. With rent control, you're making it really hard for those landlords to make a profit. Ordinarily, if they could charge whatever they think the market price is, they'd have a live-in super. They would invest a little bit in the maintenance of the building so the pipes don't fall into disrepair, the drywall isn't a mess, you name it. I'm not an expert in interior maintenance. But now, with rent control, the landlord is like, I don't care. I'm not going to make any money anyway. Why would I fix or repair anything in this building? But nobody talks about that fallout from rent control. And I get it. It's easy to paint a rosy picture because people, including myself, are struggling out there in the rental market in New York City. And to Mamdani, I'm sure he thinks the electoral rewards are greater than the economic mess it will make. I don't even think he's given that any thought, though. Mamdani is a political force to be reckoned with. I'm not debating that. He's good on camera. He has charisma. He's young. Something new for the Democratic Party right now. He's free of corruption scandals. Also new for the Democratic Party right now. But he's delusional. The policies I've just outlined are going to royally hurt this city if they get implemented, and I earnestly hope they do not. Maybe Mamdani will moderate, but it's not looking good right now. For more on how he won the Democratic Party in the first place, TikTok and all, click here.